What's up, Eagles Nation? Yeah, I still don't have my opening done up. I have most of the parts to get it done, but I just have to edit things together. And the good news is I'll have it up by the home opener, so by next week, by week 3. So as we know, the Eagles lose their first game of the season, their first loss of the season, I should say, 27-20 in Kansas City. Eagles get a very late touchdown and then actually recover the onside kick, but Carson Wentz isn't Aaron Rodgers, so the Hail Mary doesn't work at the end. You know what? In some facets, it was a disappointing game because it was a winnable game. I mean, as it turned out. I mean, the way the game went down, it came down to the fourth quarter. Now, a week ago, they were able to win the fourth quarter in Washington. They were able to get some turnovers, and the defense really sealed that win in the end with a touchdown. But on the road, you know, to win close games, you got to win the turnover battle. And today the Eagles did not. There were 2 turnovers. I really count 3 turnovers. One doesn't get counted as a turnover per se, but a missed field goal on a 30-yard chip shot at the end of the first half. And I was worried going into the game with the rookie kicker in Elliott. And I don't think overall he had a bad game. I mean, his kickoffs were pretty good. He only missed the one kick. It was a chip shot. I think it was the closest kick he would have had to make, including extra points. So it's like, man, it's always the closest one, right? And it was right before half. They got a gift play on a deflection that Ertz catches and goes down the sideline for extra yards, and then gets them in the field position. They had the timeout. They called it. Andy, ices the kicker, and then, of course, he misses. But really, look, they lost the game by 7, not 3. But that was a big momentum killer. And then, they get the ball to start the second half, and, they end up punting. So, it's certainly, what the momentum that could have shifted towards the Eagles really shifted back to the Chiefs. A couple things from this game that you take away. Missed opportunities. I mean, it's a tie game, 13-all. Eagles with the ball, in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter. And then here comes the deflection, interception, and all the momentum went with the Chiefs after that. They score a touchdown. And if you think about that particular possession by the Chiefs, third down, I mean, Vinny Curry, I know Alex Smith is an elusive quarterback. I know he's a mobile quarterback. But my goodness, and you have a chance to bring down, any quarterback, and they're in the grass, you got to bring them down. And Vinny absolutely missed that tackle on Alex Smith. He runs for a first down, and then, later in that possession, they score a touchdown. I think overall, though, the defense played pretty well. I know they didn't get any turnovers. They had some pressures. They really did a nice job at getting pressure on Alex Smith. Yeah, they missed him a few times, but, you give credit where it's due there. Alex was able to make some plays. But I think overall they played pretty well, and when you consider the fact that they lost 2 more players in the secondary, already without Ronald Darby coming into this game, and today they lost McLeod, which really hurt them late on the touchdown by Hunt, because the safety that took over for McLeod, ran a horrible angle to try to, bring down Hunt, and completely just was swimming basically, and Hunt, ran by him and went for a big touchdown, which was really Hunt's only play. I mean, the Eagles did a really nice job against the run besides that one run. Overall, I mean, look, they didn't get any turnovers. I kept, saying in, the fourth quarter, this is a nice time to get a turnover, defense. This is a nice time to get a turnover, and, they couldn't do it. And when you're on the road, obviously you don't want to lose the turnover battle. And, the other problem for the Eagles, as we've, seen in the first 2 weeks, and really we saw in the preseason, and, I'll admit that I was wrong. I really thought the O-line would come together, and maybe they still will. But through the first 2 games, and I mean, the pressures on Wentz, the inability to run the ball, and I know this is a pass-first offense. I mean, this is a pass-first league, but this is definitely a pass-first offense. But still, I mean, not being able to run the ball at all. I mean, LeGarrette Blount wasn't even on the field, it seemed, most of the game. And that was by design. They wanted to get the smaller backs out there. Kansas City has a big defensive front. So it favors the smaller back against them. And if you notice, I mean, look, Darren Sproles isn't a bell cow back. All due respect to the guy, I love him. He's a great player. He's been a great Eagle from his time here, but he is not an every down back, and he was used very often. Him and Wendell Smallwood, which, by the way, I mean, I'm just very disappointed in Wendell Smallwood. I really don't know if he ever is going to find himself in the NFL. I don't know what to make of the guy. He'll make like a good play, and then like you won't see him the rest of the game. He's not good at blocking, and in that situation, I was a little surprised that Blunt wasn't in the game a little more because he's a better blocking back than Wendell Smallwood is. I mean, Darren Sproles tries, but he's a better blocking running back than Wendell is. I wouldn't be surprised if Clement comes in and takes over Smallwood's spot at some point in the season. Of course, the rookie out of Wisconsin who made the team, he's on the practice squad now, I believe, or not a non-dressed running back on the depth chart. And I really wouldn't be surprised if we see Clement before long. I mean, Wendell Smallwood, I think he's gotten a lot of opportunities. He just hasn't done anything. He flashed a bit last season as a rookie. I'm just not seeing anything out of Wendell Smallwood so far. I know it's only 2 games, and it's kind of harsh, but he's in there, and it's just you don't even know he's there, or if you know he's there, he's making some sort of mistake, missing a block, not hitting the hole. It's obviously he's been a disappointment so far, and the running game as a whole. Look, this offensive line, This is one of the things that we thought going into the season could be one of the strengths of this team, and it still could be. I mean, maybe they round things out. They play better as the season goes on. You never know. I mean, it is still early. It's still September. But this is very troubling the way they played the first 2 games. I mean, Carson Wentz just has no time back there. I know he's a mobile quarterback. He can get away from the rush from time to time. We've seen this. But it's just way too much. And if this offensive line isn't blocking, you can't be passing the ball 47 times. It's just going to lead to turnovers. It's going to lead to mistakes, and we saw that. And I know it was a deflected, pass that really was kind of a weird deflection that went up in the air, which, by the way, why aren't our offensive linemen, trying to even make a move to try to bat the ball away or catch it at that point instead of just watching the guy catch the ball? That kind of sucks. But be that as it may, the offensive line has just not played well. And going into the next 2 games, when you take a look at the home opener against the Giants, and I know the Eagles have owned the Giants over the years, but that's a very good defense coming in, a very good pass rush. And then you're going out to Los Angeles now, the newly minted Los Angeles Chargers, and that's another great pass rush that they have. So these next 2 weeks are going to be tough. If this offensive line cannot protect, we're going to see games similar to this, where Carson Wentz is running around for his life trying to make plays. And, this has got to get fixed. It's got to get fixed, O-line. There's some veterans on this offensive line. They have got to do their job because it's getting ridiculous. It's almost to the point where every time Carson's back to pass, here comes a defensive, lineman, or a safety on a blitz just getting free to him. And, the guy's going to get hurt. And it's like, if we lose Carson Wentz, we're done. I mean, that's just it. The season's over. If he goes down for any period of time, Nick Foles comes in, good old Nicky Six, but the season's over. So this O-line has got to do a better job. And there's some highly paid players on this O-line. They have got to do their job. They've got to get together and get this ship corrected in the right direction. Because, again, these next 2 weeks, they're going to be tough. You're going against 2 really good defenses and really good pass rushers and pass rushing defenses. And when they rush the passer like that, what happens? They get turnovers. Last year, the Chargers were tied for first, I believe, in the league in turnovers, and the Giants are right there. And I know the Eagles play well against the Giants. I mean, Eli Manning usually doesn't have great games against the Eagles, but it could be a close game. And if it comes down to like a turnover because the offensive line isn't doing their job and a Giant comes free and forces a fumble or an interception and the Giants get the ball, I mean, you're looking at, disaster. So this O-line's got to get better. It's got to get better. And the running game, and I know that this is a pass-first offense, they have to try to figure out some sort of a semblance of a running game because you want to keep a defense honest. Even though, everyone's ready for a pass, it's a passing league, but you have got to be able to run the ball just a bit. And in a game like this, in a tie game, it's about clock management. It's about, keeping that other offense off the field. And it's just pass, 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 because they can't run. And like a game like this, and I get it. I mean, they were having some success with the pass. They were moving down the field. They were making things happen. But at the same time, in the fourth quarter in a tie game, the object is and I know it was a lot of time, but the object is to try to keep that other team off the field with all their offensive weapons, because sooner or later that offense is going to make plays. There's just too many good players on that other offense, and you want to try to control the clock and control the game in a tie or close game at that point, and they just couldn't do it. Disappointing. Look, I said before the season they're going to be 10-6. I still feel that this is a 10-6 team that could compete and for a division title. Obviously, 10-6 means they're going to lose 6 games, so this is one of them. A lot of us probably looked at this game on paper before the season started and said this could be an L. It's a tough environment, and good old Big Red, on the other side. Now we're 0-2 against Andy Reid, but the Chiefs had a little more rest, a little longer, time off because they played last Thursday night. But at the same time, this was a winnable game. When you see how this game broke down, and you see how everything kind of went through this week in this game and into the fourth quarter, it's a 13-all game. They're right there, and there's opportunities missed. And I don't want to harp on this, but I mean, the last couple of weeks we've had receivers, and look, last year all we saw was receivers dropping passes in big situations, and this year so far we had Alshon Jeffrey last week, who had a good game today, scored a touchdown, did a lot of good things. But you saw Alshon Jeffrey last week drop a couple 50-50 balls that he should catch, particularly if he wants to get paid. This week, you had Torrey Smith early in the game. I mean, he dropped a touchdown. He dropped another pass later. And I know he made some catches in the second half, but these receivers, I mean, look, we're talking about the upgrades at the wide receiver position this offseason. Oh, they got Alshon Jeffrey, they got Torrey Smith. But they have got to play better. I mean, and I know there's going to be drops. Every team drops balls. Every receiving core is going to have drops. But these guys are supposed to be difference makers. And through the first 2 weeks, in big situations, they've come up with drops. And, touchdown situations come down with drops. And I'm not going to harp on it too long because, look, they have made more positive plays than negative plays. But it's got to get better. It's got to get better, particularly if this team's just going to be a pass-first offense. That means your receivers got to make the catches on those 50-50 balls. Your receivers have got to come down with it, particularly if these are guys that want to get paid. I mean, you got to come down with these passes. That's all there is to it. I know it's easier said than done. You got to come down with these passes. Particularly Alshon. He wants to get paid. The 50-50 balls, and I know there's going to be times where you drop it, defender makes a play, but when it's in your hands, you have got to secure that football and come down with it and prove to get paid. Again, the running game, and I don't know if this team's ever going to have a great running game. There's been a lot of talk this week about who they didn't get in the draft and everything, and I understand that. I'm a big fan of running backs. Running back is still my favorite position in football. I wish this team still had a great back. I hate Chip Kelly for trading away Shady McCoy those years ago. Of course, D-Jax as well, and not re-signing Jeremy Maclin. But this team has not had any kind of any semblance of a running game since Shady was traded, and it's disappointing. It is disappointing. I know there's now a whole lot of teams that win by running the ball. You might see Kansas City winning some games with run. You might see Pittsburgh, of course, with Le'Veon Bell. Even Oakland with beast mode there. I mean, there are teams that are going to run the ball. It's not the end all be all in the league like it once was. But it's still important to have that, particularly if you're going to win, those close games, those games where you want to chew up the clock. And you can say the short passing routes, the slants, the screens, that's the Eagles' running game and other teams' running game. But, man, I just don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's disappointing. I mean, again, a lot of people had this down as an L. But when you, again, see how this game broke down and how they could have won it, it is disappointing, particularly going into the fourth quarter in a tie game with the ball. And then here comes the turnover, and before you know it, Kansas City's up by 14. And the Eagles, fight back. They had a valiant comeback effort at the end, but too little, too late. You didn't see Nelson Aguilar really involved in the offense today after having a nice game last week. He had one catch. It was a touchdown. Give him that. He has 2 touchdowns on the season. But you just didn't see him really be involved. I mean, it was really Jeffrey, Smith, Ertz. And they did spread the ball around. But it's just, again, when you look at this game and in the end, that this was a game that kind of got away from them, you just hope a game like this doesn't come back to bite them, at the end. I mean, I know Dallas lost today to Denver. Washington, I believe they won that game against the Rams. The Giants play tomorrow night against Detroit. But, again, this was a game that, when we look back at it, when you see the final score of this game at the end of the season, say, oh, that was a close game, but it was one that got away. That's just how I look at it. And I know every season, the Eagles, they let games get away. And every team does it. It's nothing new. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But I do still have hope. All hope is not lost because of one game, as difficult it is. I do have little concerns about the injuries. I don't know how severe the injuries to McLeod and Watkins are. I know they both left with hamstring injuries, did not return. Again, Ronald Darby, the good news is he's going to be out only 4 to 6 weeks or whatever that was. And it wasn't a season-ending injury, so they'll get Darby back before the end of the season. Particularly for the stretch drive there at the end, and that's important. But, you don't want to have too many injuries here. It's already a thin secondary. We all know this. And now if McLeod and Watkins, if they're going to miss significant time or at least a few weeks, now you're really thin, in your secondary. And that could be a problem. I mean, next week you're going up against a pretty good receiving core in the Giants. And the week after that, you're going up against Phillip Rivers. And, they like to throw the ball in San Diego. Or San Diego. It used to be San Diego. Now it's Los Angeles. With the old gunslinger there in Rivers. So there's going to be 2 tough opponents, going up against. Yes, the Eagles have had a lot of success against Eli. Eli has a losing record against the Eagles. It's like the one team that he just dreads playing. I got to say this. I love the pass rush. I love what this defensive line has been doing. Even today in a loss, besides the one run by Hunt, they kept him in check. They really kept Kansas City's running game in check. Besides that one, I know it was a touchdown, but besides that one run, and they got a lot of pressure on Alex Smith. I mean, Alex Smith was not comfortable in that pocket today. And I know he made some plays. He gets rid of the ball very quickly. He's mobile. Eli's not very mobile. So some of those plays that the Eagles missed today on Alex Smith, you're going to make against Eli next week. And that's been one of the reasons that they've had a lot of success against Eli over the years is the pass rush has always been good against the Giants. And this season, too, the Giants do not have a good offensive line. I know the Eagle fans have been complaining about our O-line. The Giants' O-line isn't much better. So they should be able to put some pressure on Eli in that Giant offense next week. It is the home opener. It's always exciting, to have the first home game of the season. We had to wait to week 3 this year. But, they finish off the first 2 weeks 1-1. The good news is they got that win in Washington and finally beat the Redskins in week 1. In a close game, they were able to pull it out at the end. But again, the plays that they were able to make, they won the fourth quarter last week, but this week they lost the fourth quarter. So they come into week 3 1-1. They're 500. A lot of people may have thought they would be 1-1. There were people that thought they'd be 0-2 after the first 2 weeks. So they're 1-1. We're going up against the Giants at home, the home opener next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time start. I'm looking forward to it. May even go out with some friends, watch the game somewhere. So we'll see. I hope that they get the things that they need to get straightened out. Hopefully the offensive line plays better next week. Hopefully they can run the ball a bit next week with a little more success for the first time this season. It would be nice to see. Get some pressure off of Carson too. You shouldn't have your quarterback throwing the ball 47 times a game. So hopefully they can get something going there in the running game and the O-line. Defense just keep doing their thing. Hopefully we get some turnovers next week. Eli's always good to be a giver against the Eagles defense over the years. So hopefully they'll be able to get some picks off Eli again. next week. And we'll see. First meeting of the season against the New York Football Giants. Always looking forward. Always look forward to the divisional games. Good rivalry games there. And yeah, man, tough loss today. I thought they had a shot in the fourth quarter. I really did, but it did fall apart. It happens. I mean, it happens in sports. What can you do? All we can do is watch the games and talk about it later on. And I do promise that in week 3, the home opener, I will have my brand new opening for this series, for the Season of the Fan series. So look forward to that. And until then, I mean, you'll be seeing me playing the games on PS4 with the live streams. And I got to get a win next week against the Giants. I mean, unlike the real Eagles, I'm 0-2. And we know it's been a struggle so far. So I got to get a win next week. I guaranteed a victory. I'm going to guarantee it again. I will beat the Giants in the PS4 circuit, the Madden circuit. Get my first win of the season. So adjustments have to be made, just like with the real Eagles. Adjustments have to be made. And hopefully I can make those and get a win on next Saturday night. More than likely, that's when I'll play the game next Saturday, if not sooner. And so that's going to do it for now. Unfortunately, it's the first video of the season I have to come on after a loss. It is an L, but you know what? It's 1-1. It could be worse. It could be better. But 1-1 with the Giants coming in at the home opener. And I know all the Eagle fans that are going to the game will be there in full throat. I got to say one thing. Shout out to Eagle Nation. Kansas City's a tough place, man. That's a tough place. Usually fans don't seem to take over that stadium. But the Eagle fans were loud there. I mean, there were times where you really heard a lot of Eagle cheers and, defense, and it was good to see. It was good to hear, and it was good to see on TV. A lot of green and Arrowhead tonight, and that was cool to see. Eagle fans certainly travel well, and I know the home opener, they're going to be ready this coming a week from today, Sunday. So as always, let's go Birds. Let's get back in the win column next Sunday against a team that the Eagles do have had a decent amount of success against in recent years, the Giants. Good old Eli. We get to see Eli face again next week. So look forward to that and the first meeting of the two division rivals on the season. And I'll see you guys in the next vid. All right, Eagles Nation, take care.